Father, daughter doesn't mean that. But, after all, my sister is also your daughter, that is, she has no blood relationship. In the eyes of outsiders, she is your daughter. She choked for a while and continued, whether it's you or me, our every move will fall in the eyes of outsiders. Now that my sister has come out of the cabinet, I don't want to mention the past. If my father can't carry it clearly, he will give the handle to others. She said in tears, every sentence was sincere, all for their father and daughter, for the Prime Minister's consideration. Liu Bohan calmed down, but he was still angry and said coldly, this is my official's family affair. Who dares to say more? Mo Xianghua looked at it for a long time, and suddenly he began to smile. His face was an undisguised taunt. Liu Xianghua is not afraid of people's words, why don't he even let me in? Liu Bohan, the green veins on his forehead jumped fiercely, and his face was full of anger. Don't push your inch, let alone think that I really dare not do anything about you. Oh. Mo Xianghua nodded, but there was no fear on her face, and she didn't care about the general. If you dare come. She obviously knows best how to make a person faint. Liu Bohan is in such a state at this time. His hand trembled, pointing to the flowers on the street, but he couldn't say a word for a long time. After all, Mo Xianghua's identity today, he really can't move. The emperor's relatives and nobles, even if they are the concubines of a prince who is not in favor, can't be moved easily. When he was angry, he walked away directly. From his steps, we can see how angry he was. Seeing that Liu Bohan was so angry, the flowers on the street felt much smoother in his heart. After all, Liu Bohan is related to her body. She can't do it. It's good to kill him like this. Seeing this, Liu Qianqian wiped the tears on his face. On his pale face, which was still stained with tears, he pulled out a reluctant smile. My father agreed. Don't be surprised, my sister. He just can't open his face. Mo Xianghua didn't even look at Liu Qianqian. She stood up and walked out. Then he said to a servant girl outside the door, lead the way to the ancestral temple. As for Liu Qian, she's tired of looking at the flowers on the street, and she has nothing new. It's a waste of time talking to her. Liu Qianqian, I'm not sure. At the moment, she realized Liu Bohan's anger. She broke her silver teeth and quickly followed up. The ancestral hall of the Prime Minister's residence is dedicated to the ancestors of the Liu family in all ages. They pay homage only to their own mother. At the moment, she took off her whole body spirit, knelt down devoutly and earnestly, and bowed respectfully 3 times. Since she has taken over the body, the mother of the original owner is also her mother, and she will surely avenge her. You all go out. Liu Qianqian followed closely into the ancestral hall and ordered others to quit. Then, like Mo Xianghua, he knelt down beside her and said in a soft voice, Mother, you must protect my sister and me and my father. He misses you very much. Then he would kowtow. Mo Xianghua suddenly stood up and grabbed her hand, which made her unable to kowtow. Although she was looking at the thin and weak, she was very energetic. Liu Qianqian had never practiced martial arts, and her body was also thin. She suddenly exhaled in pain and looked at her with tears in her eyes. Sister, what are you doing? Mo Xianghua took a look at the closed gate of the ancestral hall, and her lips filled with a smile of sarcasm. Do you deliberately take people away, just to show me a play alone? After a pause, her eyes became cold and she pulled Liu Qianqian up. You and Liu Bohan are not worthy of her blessing, let alone worshipping her, or... She deliberately lengthened her voice and mocked. No one in this ancestral hall is worthy of worship. Liu Qianqian was not surprised. She threw away the flower's hand and wiped the tears on her face. She said calmly, what about matching, what about not accompanying? The corner of her lips is smug and she says with a smile, like you are the most qualified person to worship. Now you are not qualified. The flower on the street was calm, without any ripple, and her red lips said coldly, then you have to keep it. Don't show your horse's feet. After all, it's not easy to hold on to this great wealth. Liu Qianqian face unchanged, smiling, you can rest assured, this Prime Minister's Dichu miss, I do is very comfortable, will always do. When I got married in Feng 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 Wang Wang, I was so rich. It's really fascinating to think about it. Mo Shanghua obviously didn't want to pay attention to her crazy dream. Her tone suddenly turned straight down. I only ask you one thing, did you kill my mother? But Lu Qianqian seems to have recovered to the pure and kind Prime Minister's daughter, full of innocence. What's my sister talking about? Mother, didn't you do it? Mo Shanghua dislikes her hypocritical appearance most. She pulls her over directly, presses her backhand on the ground and makes her kneel in front of the memorial tablet. I'll ask you again, you just say, did you kill people? Lu Qianqian completely did not expect that Mo Shanghua would directly press her here, and all the disguises were torn in an instant. She couldn't get away with it, so she held back her panic and said in a sharp voice, "What do you want to do, bitch? I'm the Prime Minister's daughter. How dare you take me? Lu Bohan won't let you go." Yes, she must not dare. If she dares, she will have no chance to turn over this time. She's going to be buried with her. Thinking of this, she calmed down a lot and gradually controlled her emotions. Without frowning, he was not busy exerting his strength, but said, "If you are not afraid of provoking people and destroying your image of painstaking management, you will continue to shout." After a pause, her voice began to ring softly again. "By the way, didn't I tell you? I have plenty of means. I'll bring out all kinds of torture. If you don't tell me, I'll let you try one by one." How dare she? How dare she? Lu Qianqian has just stabilized a lot of emotions, and once again chaos up, anger and fear, the body gently shaking up. Mo Shanghua did not care at all. She released one hand and pressed her with one hand. She did not know what to do with the other hand and pulled out a silver needle by juggling. Under the secluded candlelight, the silver needle is more and more bright. Lu Qianqian has been trained to be a stand-in for strangers since she was a child. She doesn't learn martial arts because the martial arts practitioners are light in body and can show off when she walks. Second, although there is no martial arts, she has experienced some necessary training. For example, how to help the master keep a secret. However, after more than a year's life, she has long forgotten the hardships she had in the past. At this moment, she suddenly sees the silver needle of flowers in the street here, and then she gradually remembers the picture of how to train in the past. Mo Shanghua hasn't done anything yet, she has already thought of the pain in her mind. However, this matter has been recognized by Mo Shanghua, and she doesn't need to hide it. Thinking of this, Lu Qian calmed down again and said in a cold voice, "What if it's me? What can you do?" At this point she was full of pride. She is the Prime Minister's daughter. Mo Shanghua is just a bedbug who kills her mother. Even if she becomes a princess, she can't turn over completely. She is just like a cloud in mud. However, one second she was still proud, the next second the whole person with a very embarrassed posture, lying on the ground, white and delicate cheek close to the ground. And the flower of a foot is mercilessly step on her back. The strength is so great that she can't make any effort at all. She can only crawl at the foot of the flower like a waste. She was immediately filled with humiliation. Can't stand it? Mo Shanghua, however, seemed to see through the thoughts in her heart. She opened her mouth word by word. "Don't worry, I remember the pain on my cheek that day when your knife crossed, as well as my mother's account. I can't kill you now, but I will end you myself in the future." Lu Qian's heart more humiliating, struggling to shout, "Bitch, you dare! How dare you?" Mo Shanghua added some strength. Seeing that Lu Qianqian's breathing was not smooth, he spoke slowly, "Of course I don't dare, so you can only suffer some crimes now." Lu Qianqian's chest was like a huge stone. It was painful, and his breathing was not smooth. He said very hard, I won't let your eye." Seeing that her breath was getting thinner and thinner, she let her go. Even more did not forget to take out a piece of pizi, wiped his soul, as if contaminated with some filth in general. Lu Qianqian was very embarrassed to get up from the ground, covering his chest and gasping. This is just the beginning. Mo Shanghua saw that she was so embarrassed, and the color of her lips was deeper. She dropped a word and turned around to leave. Such a waste of time, Really should not continue to waste time with her. Lu Qianqian looks at Emo Shanghua's arrogant appearance, and his humiliation and resentment become more and more intense. He almost turns them into substance, swallowing and stripping Emo Shanghua's peanuts. With a sudden scream, she turned around and swept all the fruits and snacks off the table, then smashed the memorial tablet on the high place. Emo Shanghua looks at the devastation. Before she can be surprised, Lu Qianqian pounces on her. She changes her face in a magic moment and grabs her in horror. Sister, you can't stand me beating or scolding me, but how can you do such a wicked thing? Just then, a group of servant girls came in when they heard the news. When they saw such a scene, they were all pale with fright, and all of them were fixed on the spot. Flower Face suddenly condensation down, immediately understand the intention of Lu Qianqian. However, the ancients attached the most importance to filial piety. How could she think that Lu Qian could do such a thing? When Lu Qianqian was crying, she did not forget to tell the silly girl, "This matter, I can't be partial to my sister. You can invite my father to come." When Lu Bohan was about to fight and kill, Lu Qianqian, who had been hiding for a long time, stood up at the moment. "Father, my sister didn't mean it. It's all my fault. I shouldn't bring my sister to the ancestral hall. Please forgive my sister." "You don't have to plead for her." Lu Bohan's attitude towards Lu Qianqian is not so good, which is a bit of anger. The boy's feet are very fast and soon they get the family law. The so-called family method is a long whip. The surface of the whip is covered with fine barbs. If you go down with a whip, it will be enough to make the skin split. Emo Shanghua's eyes coldly looked at the father and daughter, threw the remaining whip on the ground, and said coldly, "I'm afraid that no one in this Prime Minister's mansion really wants me back, and some people want me to die. In that case, Shi Shu Dun, Chinya there also have some bad premonition, can't help but whisper, 'Princess, we should go back.'" Emo Shanghua didn't pay attention to her and said firmly, "From now on, I'll be Emo Shanghua, not your concubine." "What did you say?" Lu Bohan's eyes widened in shock and anger. He couldn't believe that Emo Shanghua could say such bold words. Emo Shanghua looks at him coldly. There is no emotion in her eyes. Her red lips are even tighter. She doesn't want to talk with him. A few clear and then slow applause suddenly rang in a mess of ancestral hall. Such untimely slapping makes Lu Bohan's face a little more heavy. However, when he saw clearly the source of the applause, his face suddenly changed. The man in front of him was dressed in black, with his beautiful, unshaped cheeks and indifferent eyebrows. Who was the national teacher who should have gone to other countries? Emo Shanghua was equally surprised, frowning at the national teacher in front of him. He is tall and tall, standing against the light at the gate of the ancestral hall. His whole body is more mysterious and tall. It's like the prince of the 21st century fairy tale. I don't know why this sentence suddenly flashed across her mind. She was embarrassed and quickly took back her eyes. She never needed a prince. Slightly drooping eyes, Emo Shanghua thought so. At this time, Lu Bohan, after weighing up, reluctantly suppressed his anger and said, "When did the national master come back?" "I don't know. I let you see the joke." Thinking of this, he couldn't help jumping on his forehead. He tried to hold back his anger and said, "Who is the one who doesn't want to die?" But the national master just waved his sleeve and still stood at the door. He didn't enter the door. His eyes were distant and indifferent, and he didn't seem to see anyone. "I don't dare to disturb you when I see that Lu Xiang is angry." Lu Bohan couldn't hang up. When there was such a rebellious girl at home, it was ugly for the national teacher. "I just don't know when did the national teacher arrive?" "Just now." The national teacher cherished the words like gold, only slightly spit out 2 words. That is to say, "I didn't see that." However, with such a cool nature as the national teacher, even if I really saw it, it would not spread. Lu Bohan was relieved, and his face relaxed a lot. "It's impolite. Please follow me to the main hall to have a rest." The national master nodded, slightly sideways, and let Lu Bohan go ahead. Lu Bohan quickly refused hypocrisy. National teacher, please. The national master nodded, but he didn't refuse. He walked out first. From the beginning to the end, the eyes just slightly swept the flowers, not too much emotional ups and downs. As if they had not met before. A year ago, it was as if there had never been a drop of water. Lu Qianqian looks at Lu Bohan, who leaves in a hurry. His slender nails are almost embedded in the palm of his hand. He is full of unwilling color. Mo Xianghua goes to Qin Ya's side and frowns at the scar on her back. The injury was not light. Although her clothes were not broken, she fainted and opened a blood stain. Qin Ya's cheek was even more painful, but she just carried it without crying for pain. You know, Qin Ya is no better than her. She didn't know how many sins she had suffered in her previous life and what kind of pain she had not suffered. Naturally, it's no matter. But Qin Ya is just an ordinary little girl. Her heart is more and more angry, eyes from Lu Qianqian full of unwilling eyes swept over, complexion condensation seems to drip water. What does my sister look at me like this for? Lu Qianqian blinked and hid the venom at the bottom of her eyes, full of innocence. Sister, I think you'd better go. If you wait for your father to come back, I can't protect you. On the street, flower red lips coldly raises, full of cold eyes. What kind of thing are you? Lu Qianqian choked and nearly vomited a mouthful of blood. Bearing his anger in his heart, he repeatedly reminded himself that there were still people around, so he must not expose half of them. Just about to show her tolerant side, but don't want to. Mo Xianghua just left the sentence, then took Qin Ya to turn around and went out, didn't give her the chance to pretend to be a good person at all. Lu Qianqian is a melancholy death. The Mo Xianghua that forces clearly broke off the relation with the prime minister, but she is not very happy in the heart. After all, it was far from her expectations. At least it's time to whip her. Lu Bohan will be expelled from the prime minister's office. In this way, she will not only lose face, but also be helpless. If not, with Lu Bohan's character of being unprofitable and unable to get up early, it is hard to guarantee that he will give her some help in the future because of his status as Princess Huayu. Well, this time she always won. Think of here, Lu Qianqian just feel chest one breath smooth down. The national teacher was cold-blooded. Although he sat opposite Lu Bohan, he did not speak. Lu Bohan knew his temperament well, but he still had some doubts in his heart. He said tentatively, I don't know when the national master came back. Have you ever visited your majesty? Guisher's long and narrow Fengmu didn't lift it. He said faintly, never. It's only 2 words, and there's no intention of explanation. Lu Bohan had to harden his head and continue to ask. When the national teacher returned to court, he didn't go to see his majesty first. Yuan came here. How can I be so favored by the national teacher? The national teacher slightly raised his eyes to him and said, It's nothing. It's just that I've been away from the court for nearly a year. I'm a stranger to the affairs of the court. I'm here to ask for advice. In his phoenix eyes, he is indifferent and has no desire or desire on his beautiful face. It seems that they are not selfish. Lu Bohan quickly weighed it in his mind and then immediately hung up his flattered and frightened appearance. The national teacher is serious, and he is deeply respected by His Majesty. How can I bear your advice? Since the national teacher wants to hear it, I will tell you in detail. The national master nodded slightly, but his eyes were still indifferent. Next, Lu Bohan began to elaborate. The wound on Qin Ya's back almost crossed the whole back, and it was even more fierce and bloody. Mo Xianghua personally took medicine for Qin Ya's wound. Seeing that her whole body was tense with pain, she trembled slightly, but she was reluctant to cry out. Suddenly she felt guilty. If it hurts, shout it out. Don't be so patient. She could not bear it, she said in a low voice. Qin Ya clenched her teeth and shook her head. When the flowers on the street look like this, they don't open their mouth, speeding up the speed of edema. After dressing the wound, she said again, in front of me, you really don't have to suffocate yourself like this. Qin Ya still shook her head, pulled her lips and said with a smile, Since I've been your man, I can't lose the face of the princess like before. After being with Emo Shanghua for such a long time, she knew her temperament very well and naturally didn't want to give her shame. Smell speech, the lips petals of the flowers on the street are slightly pursed and silent. Qinya is so heartfelt, her heart is gratified, but also helpless. But these words she is not export, just take out a porcelain bottle to Qinya, this is oral, twice a day, can't neglect. Qinya takes it and holds it in the palm of her hand. For a long time, she suddenly said, "Princess, I miss my brother a little." Emo Shanghua gently put her hand on Qinya's shoulder. "It's my blunder, I can't protect you." In her eyes, she should take good care of the people who are sincere to her. I don't mean that. Qinya was afraid that the flowers on the street would think more and explained busily, "I just want to protect you if my brother is here. Although my brother has no ability, he has the strength to fight against them." The flower eyes on the street crossed a little dark light and said with a smile, "How can I need you to work hard for me? In the future, you don't have to go forward. With my ability, you won't lose anything." Qinya pulled a lip cape to smile, "Is slave's good princess." Having said that, the stubbornness between her eyes and eyebrows did not lessen. The flower on the street naturally saw it. After thinking about it, she said, "You don't have to be too patient when you are outside. You are really bullied. You must take good care of yourself when you go back. Everything has me." Qinya was moved and nodded, "I know, I will never lose the face of the princess next time." The flower on the street smiles a little, and then seems to think of something. Her face is a little cold. "I'll take revenge on you sooner or later for today's revenge. No matter Lu Qianqian or Lu Bohan, she will not let it go." Lu Bohan chattered on and on and on with the national master one by one. The national master listened with a light look and nodded slightly from time to time. But, in that long and narrow phoenix eye, under the close look, unexpectedly faintly visible a few minutes of beating impatience. The Empress Dowager's birthday seems to be in the future. The national teacher who had been silent for a long time suddenly opened his mouth and cut off Lu Bohan's words while he was drinking water to moisten his throat. Lu Bohan just said that he was thirsty. When he heard that the national master took the initiative to switch off the topic, he was slightly relieved and said, "It's just that the national master came back at this time. Your Majesty's Empress Dowager will be very pleased to know." The national teacher is not happy, not angry, stand up, that this also should go back to prepare the birthday gift, dare not much bother. Lu Bohan got up to see him off with a smile. After seeing off the national master and going back to the ancestral hall, there was no one in the ancestral hall, only a few cleaning servants. "Father." Lu Qian came forward at the right time and said in a soft voice, "My sister has already returned to the mansion." Lu Bohan suddenly sank his face, turned back and said, "I said, she is not your sister, not my daughter, besides, I have already broken off my relationship with her." The last sentence, as if to retain their own little face left in general. Lu Qianqian eyes across a bit happy, but the face seems to be scared in general, eyes slightly wet, voice more light. "Yes, daughter, no, will not be in nonsense." Seeing this, Lu Bohan knew that his tone was wrong. He slightly suppressed his anger and said, "Tell the porter that princess you will not be allowed to come to the door in the future. The Prime Minister's house is not her mother's house anymore." "Father." Seeing this, Lu Qianqian, with tears in her eyes, said, "Father, I've changed the cards and split the family. I don't think it's the intention of Princess Yu. If you insist on this, how can she stand in the city? She..." Enough. At the mention of these, Lu Bohan was just a little angry. He suddenly rose up again and said angrily, "I didn't go down to tell her about these things. It's enough to give her face. What else can I do?" If Emo Shanghua heard this, he must sneer a few times and ask him if he doesn't make things big. Is it to give her face or for his own face? After all, the Prime Minister of a country who told the court about his family's children was a little ugly. To achieve this goal, Lu Qian turned white, nodded her head gently, and said, "My father has also calmed down. My daughter specially ordered someone to stew a medicinal meal for clearing away heat and calming the nerves. You have to drink some first. Here, my daughter will clean up and plead with all the ancestors." While talking, the charming jade has already held up a cup of medicated food. Lu Bohan glanced, did not immediately take it, but very pleased to turn his head and look at Lu Qianqian. "Or you are the most intimate, worthy of being my own daughter, Lu Bohan." He was in a good mood, and his tone became more and more gentle. "However, it's late now. You are weak and can't bear to toss. And I have to ask my ancestors for their sins. You'd better go back and have a good rest." But Lu Qian shook his head, his face full of stubborn. "Daughter, as a child of the Lu family, it is a big mistake that she can't stop her sister today. She must stay and repent in the ancestral hall for 3 days." Two father and daughter say words here. Didn't notice, stand at one side to hold the charming jade of medicated meal, the wrist has already lightly trembled. Lu Bohan only noticed his stubborn daughter in front of him. The more he looked at her, the more satisfied he was. His anger completely subsided. He sighed, "It's really a good fortune for my Lu family to get you back. If all the ancestors knew about it, they would be very happy." Lu Qianqian shyly smiled, just about to open his mouth, but suddenly came a clear sound of broken porcelain. Then, it is the voice that the charmed jade panics. "Maidservant should die, maidservant should die." If you listen carefully, you can still hear the shaking in her voice. Lu Bohan turned his head and took a look at the mess on the ground. His brows suddenly wrinkled. "Useless things, you can't go down and get 20 boards." He is not happy in Japan today, only to see in the face of Lu Qianqian only a fine of more than 20 boards. Before she could thank her, she heard Lu Qianqian's expected voice over her head. "Father, it's not strange for her. I just talked to you, but I forgot that she was carrying it all the time. As a woman, she has poor wrist strength. You should take my face and forgive her." Lu Bohan hears the speech, as expected, have no objection, nodded to agree. Lu Qianqian stepped forward to help her up in person. Her voice was gentle and soft. "You can ask the two to clean up and change their clothes. Come back later." I don't know why, but she seems to be more afraid. She shakes a little and kowtows in a hurry. She doesn't even say thank you, so she goes down in a hurry. Lu Qianqian looked at the back of the charming jade in a hurry, with a smile on her lips, but her eyes were completely gloomy. She went back to her room and squatted down slowly against the wall. After a while, she lowered her head and opened one of her sleeves. The white arm was exposed to the air. However, there are some blood holes on the small arm which should be white. The wound is not big, but it is very deep. The blood on it seems to be coagulated temporarily, and then it is touched again. At the moment, it is slowly bleeding. In the blink of an eye, the blood drops are the size of soybeans and drip down the arm. The charming jade complexion pale take a piece of clean cotton cloth to wrap up temporarily, on the body can't stop shivering. Big tears rolled down the pale cheeks. The wound on her body did not come from the side, but was pricked alive by Lu Qianqian's hairpin. The reason is nothing else. It's just that she can't stop Qinya because she doesn't work hard today, and let Qinya take a whip for Mo Shanghua, which makes Lu Qianqian extremely angry. In fact, this is not the first time, but in the past, Lu Qian only convergence, not too heavy, leaving scars. But since Lu Qianqian came back from Yuzhou 3 or 4 months later, it began to get worse. At that time, she only served her for 2 months. Originally she was still strange, how Lu Qianqian went to Yuzhou once, and when she came back, she was short of 2 servants. Now, she is not surprised at all. So she is more cautious, dare not stand out, dare not speak more, only in Lu Qianqian need to cooperate with her, but still repeatedly suffered such abuse. If it goes on like this, I'm afraid she will soon become the third think of here. The charm jade is more and more afraid, the body shakes more fierce. However, in addition to her fear, she can't help crossing the flower in her head. Today, for the sake of Qinya, she blocked a whip for her and broke up with Lu Bohan. She can see that Lu Qianqian hates the flowers on the street, but she is envious of Qinya, so she has a good feeling for the flowers on the street. If I could be her maid, I would be much better. As soon as the idea came out, it was like a towering tree. It took root in her heart and couldn't be restrained anymore. She was smart, but she didn't dare to say more because she was afraid of Lu Qianqian. Now when she thought of this, her mind suddenly became active. Mo Shanghua bandages Qinya's wound and lets her go back, but she can't sleep. On the one hand, she was still angry about what happened today, and on the other hand, national teacher. In the past, she had not seen the national teacher, but today, I don't know what happened. Although the national teacher had never seen her, she always gave her a sense of déjà vu, as if they had known each other for a long time. It was not because he had saved her, but a very strange feeling. I couldn't tell what it was, I absorbed her mind. It's really strange. Her delicate and white fingers tap on the table, her delicate eyebrows droop, and her eyes are full of deep thinking. Somebody. Suddenly, the flowers on the street seem to think of something and get up to call. Qinya is not here at this time. Aunt Zhang naturally blocks the maid on duty at the door and walks in by herself. I've seen the princess. What can I do for her? Aunt Zhang bowed respectfully. In her drooping eyes, her pupils were turning restlessly. As soon as the flower on the street saw that it was her, she took a lot of money. She sat back and asked, "Where is the Lord staying today?" Aunt Zhang watched the wind and grass in the house all day long. Now she saw the flower on the street asking, and immediately asked for credit. "I have inquired about it for a long time. The Lord got up at noon today, and then went out of the house. Now she has not returned to the house, so she must have stayed out again." On the street, the flower's eyes seemed to contain a blade, and she said coolly, "Has Aunt Zhang done her duty well? How can you just keep an eye on your master's movements all day long?" The smile on Aunt Zhang's face almost couldn't be stopped. She turned her head and said, "The princess is going to die a slave. Lao Zhuhuang, a gifted slave, cares about the king's movements all day long. Can he do it for those shameless things?" Said, her face expression a turn, full of grievances, "Maidservant so carefully, not for the princess you." The flowers on the street have never spoken, and their eyes are smiling on Aunt Zhang. Aunt Zhang only when the stranger flowers are still sour and jealous. Rare calm once, not afraid. Although she is only 27 or 80 years old now, she should be married when she is 14 or 15 years old. She is naturally old and pale at this age, and she has long stopped thinking that she shouldn't have. Mo Shanghua saw that she was so calm, but she couldn't help laughing. "It doesn't have to be like this, I naturally believe you." Believe, 2 words, she especially bite heavy word sound. Aunt Zhang's original magnanimous face flashed some embarrassment, some anger, revenge-like opening. "Although the maidservant has been waiting for you for a short time, the prince usually stays at the side of the imperial concubine's place, or goes to sleep outside. The imperial concubine should think of a way." With that, she sighed speciously, "I don't know where to stay tonight." Smell speech, Mo Shanghua, this calm voice, suddenly catch a bit chilly. "Aunt Zhang, you dare to criticize the master, below offend?" Aunt Zhang's face just changed, busy oneself lightly palm a few mouth, "Maidservant damned. The flowers on the street, don't bother to tear them down. In addition, Aunt Zhang will not come in without my special order. She just wanted to ask a simple question. It would only take her 2 words to be a maid beside her." But Aunt Zhang was full of thoughts and nagging. Mo Shanghua raised her hand and rubbed her eyebrows. She sighed silently in her heart that although Aunt Zhang couldn't turn over the big waves, she was really annoying. She had to be sent far away. In Yanbei City, she has not seen him for several days. He also explained to her that when he returned to the capital, he had many things to start to contact. Naturally, he was no more leisurely than Yuzhou, and even less had to go in the name of seeking flowers and willows. She had no opinion. It's not why. It's just that she didn't see him the other day, but she felt very strange in her heart. Well, it's only 2 or 3 days since the Empress Dowager's birthday. She'd better think about it first. It's another night. The Empress Dowager's birthday has arrived. Emperor Barong is very benevolent and filial. He pardons the whole world. He banquets his ministers and invites guests from all over the world. This shows that Emperor Baorong attaches great importance to this matter. The palace is even more lively. The imperial palace, which used to be very quiet, is now specially decorated by the queen. Naturally, it looks festive and lively. When the Empress Dowager saw her, she was very happy and praised the queen many times. Mo Shanghua's return to Beijing this time was for the sake of the Empress Dowager's birthday. At this moment, she naturally gathered up early and brought birthday gifts to the palace to celebrate her birthday. However, Yan Beiqing didn't join her. He just sent someone to inform her, and then he went to the palace first. Mo Shanghua only thinks that he has something to do, so he doesn't enter the palace. The carriage of King Yu's mansion drove into the palace and finally stopped in front of the Zhuke Hall. Mo Shanghua and all other officials and relatives walked into the palace instead. At this time, a lot of carriages stopped in front of the Rosefinch's door. After a while, some women in luxurious clothes got out of the carriage and walked along the palace road towards the Qinghua Hall where the banquet was held. The ladies in the imperial city often hold banquets. Most of them are familiar faces. When they get out of the carriage, they take the familiar women with them. All of them are 35%. However, there was no one else except Qinya and Aunt Zhang, who were following behind. They seemed a little lonely. Such a description, coupled with this fresh face, immediately caused a lot of sidelights. However, no one associated her with Princess Yu. After all, not long after Mo Shanghua returned to the city, the story of her appearance had not spread to these ladies. In their impression, Princess Yu was a woman who had ruined her face and had a terrible face. Instead of today's elegant, well-dressed, beautiful face, temperament-detached woman. As soon as Qinya entered the palace, she was honest and didn't dare to breathe. Seeing these ladies' eyes, she was even more nervous. She was like a straight bowstring. Aunt Zhang glanced at her disdainfully and walked with her chest high as if she had come home. Mo Shanghua didn't pay attention to the secret competition between them. She went ahead and didn't care about the eyes around her. Aunt Zhang is just a small role for her. Qinya has to deal with it by herself. The Qinghua Hall soon arrived, but all the nobles were not in a hurry to take their seats. They exchanged greetings with each other. Mo Shanghua had no acquaintances or plans to communicate with them, so she went to her seat under the guidance of the palace people. Although Yan Beiqing arrived early, he was not seated yet. He stood among a group of princes and chatted with them. However, in the eyes of those princes, there was a slight disdain. Seeing this, Aunt Zhang leaned over her ear and said, "Princess, you should not sit here anymore. You should also talk to other ladies." Mo Shanghua's eyes gave her a light glance, and then she took a piece of cake and ate it in small mouthfuls. It seemed that she was not interested in everything around her. Aunt Zhang closed the door, but she didn't dare to do anything. She just kept turning her eyes as if she was looking for something. Qinya seems nervous, but in fact, she is also paying attention to Aunt Zhang's actions. She doesn't say anything, but she is paying attention quietly. Because the banquet is still early, most people did not enter the banquet. Mo Shanghua alone into the seat, and born so brilliant, naturally attracted everyone's attention. Just when seeing clearly the position that she does, all changed complexion, changed a pair of corners of the mouth to look. There are those who are shocked, those who regret, and those who disdain. What shocked her was her present appearance. What held her back was that she didn't take advantage of her downfall to be a concubine. What disdained her was her embarrassing identity. All of a sudden, the discussion began in twos and threes. Is this the fake daughter who killed his mother and sister? It's ridiculous to be on an equal footing with us now. A well-dressed lady in her 20s is full of disdain. It doesn't look like that. It said that after being exposed, he destroyed his face and described terror. How can this be possible? Another age looking at 30 up and down, but the maintenance is appropriate, face goods beautiful lady whispered. Ladies, I don't know. Young and beautiful, the woman who combed the bun looked disdainful. I don't know what kind of magic he used. He has recovered his appearance long ago. He is even more beautiful than before. She is really a monster. Isn't it? When she was in Yuzhou, she relied on Tiangao and the emperor to be far away. Even the king of you didn't pay attention to her, which made him disgusted. A few days ago, she didn't know how to force Lu Xiang to break off his relationship with her. She was just a sweeper, a witch. People talk more or less into the ear of Emo Shanghua, but she is still motionless, as if she did not know. Aunt Zhang is concerned about everything. But Qin Ya's face was dark, but she bit her teeth and tried to endure, and her face was stuffy. Aunt Zhang's appearance, she is even more angry, but she is absolutely can't open mouth reprimand, that will only give the stranger flower disgrace. The emperor arrives, the queen arrives, the queen arrives dash, the sharp voice of the eunuch suddenly rang out. Seeing this, they quickly knelt down and chanted, "Long live 1,000 years." The flowers on the street are not free from vulgarity, so they go out together to win. Barong Emperor ascended to a high position, and the Empress Dowager sat down on the first-class seat on his right side. Barong Emperor then sat down. Even the word, flat body, was spoken by the Empress Dowager. The queen followed them and sat down in the lower left head of the emperor. She was dignified and generous, but she gathered her edge in time and left all the scenery to the Empress Dowager. People understand, but did not immediately get up, but continue to say, "I wish the Empress Dowager a long life, Chunxian and Mao." The Empress Dowager's hair is gray, but her spirit is still excellent. When she heard the congratulations from all the people, her face was even more smiling. You all know the feelings of the Qing family. Please take a seat and have a banquet. Thank you, Empress Dowager. People get up. Emo Shanghua also gets up and sits back to his position. Yan Beicheng also went back to the table and sat side by side with her. Yan Moli was sitting on the left side of the two men's heads, and the neighboring place on the right was the prince's in turn. Even Yan Zhenxuan, who was not in good health, came, separated 3 tables from the flowers on the street. As if to feel her eyes, Yan Zhenxuan's Shu turned his head and looked at her. His thin jaw gently pointed at her, and his slight white lips contained a smile. Emo Shanghua glanced at his thin body, frowned slightly, then thought about it and pulled out a friendly smile. Yan Zhenxuan's body looks thinner than before, and his complexion is not very good. If he doesn't recuperate well, I'm afraid not so good. Although Yan Zhenxuan used to be good to her because of the original owner, it was all real good. She couldn't be ungrateful. But I don't know what Yan Zhenxuan thinks of her now, and she can't do any more. That's all. I'll have a chance to be good at it in the future. Just thinking about it, Yan Moli, who was sitting next to him, suddenly got up and raised his glass to look at Yan Beicheng. Brother Wu Huang. He looked at Yan Beicheng with a smile, and his manner was gentle and generous. It was more than a few months since I last left. Today I can get together with my grandmother's light, but I have to have a good drink. What the second brother said is that we should have a good conversation. Yan Beicheng also took the wine cup and stood up with a hearty smile. When the other princes saw this, they all stood up and joined them. Even Yan Zhenxuan, who was always in bad health, raised his glass and stood up. He had a warm smile on his lips and a soft and thin profile on his side. I'm not in good health, so I'll give you tea instead of wine. Emo Shanghua, as the princess of Yanbei City, naturally had to stand up and toast with Yanbei City. After a few people drank, they sat down again, and the princes chatted with each other again. Emo Shanghua's attention is naturally attracted in the past. However, looking at Yan Beicheng, who is talking and laughing with the princes, I don't know why, there is always a strange feeling in her heart. But no wonder, the appearance and behavior of the man in front of him are the same as Yan Beicheng. However, Yan Beicheng, who had been staring at her for so long, didn't even give her one. Just as he was surprised, he heard another commotion in the room. Even the quiet individual who had been sitting still could not help staring at the people who came up slowly in the room. I saw a man in Xuanyi walking slowly, walking gently and elegantly. He was tall, and his cheeks were as delicate as those carved out of white jade. Every facial feature was very delicate and handsome. A pair of narrow phoenix eyes were slightly picked up, and his eyes were cold. He walked slowly to the center of the hall and stood. Then he bent slightly and simply saluted, "I've seen your majesty, Empress Dowager." As for the queen, he ignored her. What's more shocking is that the queen sitting on the seat was not half annoyed, but still with a smile on her face. Baorong Emperor, with a smile on his face, sat up straight and said, "The national master has been working for the state affairs for nearly a year. Just a few days after he came back, he just came here to see him. It's really hard work. I'm really not very happy. Your Majesty's praise." The national master got up and lost his hand behind him. The broad brocade sleeve robe was filled with wind, and then it puffed up and fell again and again. On the street, Hua Hua's eyes leaped over the national master and looked at some young girls sitting behind him who had not yet come out of the cabinet. When he saw that they were all blushing and looking at the national master with shame, he suddenly sighed in his heart. This national teacher is really a monster. Also a complicated person. It's too complicated for her to see through. Her eyes were so obvious, but the national teacher didn't feel it. Her voice continued, "I'm here to celebrate the Empress Dowager's birthday and to report my Majesty's good news." Oh! When the emperor heard the speech, he became interested. Mo Shanghua glanced at Yan Beiqing, but saw that although his face was not wrong, his eyes fell on the national teacher from time to time. He seemed very interested. She put this behavior in her eyes, but did not say much. She took her eyes back to the national teacher. It seems that the national master was born with few words. After he said that, he lost the following. Instead, he called two teenagers about 15 or 16 years old. Both of them were dressed in white and had delicate faces. Even the people around him were assimilated by him. The flower brow on the road slightly picked to pick. The two teenagers came forward with a half-person high brocade box in their arms, and then carefully stood the brocade box on the ground, one holding it, the other opening it. In the brocade box, there is a white jade with the same body, a smiling bodhisattva. The jade is warm and transparent, and the room is full of brightness. Such a large piece of white jade, when you look at it carefully, even half of it is flawless. It is not an ordinary product. Such a large piece of jade is extremely rare. Now it is carved by a skillful craftsman, which shows its sincerity. All the people showed their admiration and admiration. Don't mention the Empress Dowager, even Baorong Emperor was full of exclamation. Where did the national master find such a treasure? The Empress Dowager nodded and said with a smile, "It's really a rare thing. I've been mourning for my family for decades, and I've rarely seen it. The national teacher really has a heart." The national master just nodded his head lightly. Because of the exclamation of the people, he felt superior and was still cool and indifferent. Seeing this, the young man around him explained, "My lord, this is also a treasure that the national teacher did not intend to find. He sent craftsmen to make and carve it half a year ago. This is the beautiful jade of today." The Empress Dowager laughed more and more kindly, and said with a smile, "The national teacher is so kind-hearted. I'm very glad to mourn my family. Hurry up and arrange seats for the national teacher." The emperor smiles and nods to Lu Weng. The seat of the national teacher had been prepared long ago, and it was the first one on the left side of the next head. It was higher than Prime Minister Liu Bohan. Mo Shanghua was surprised. "It's true. I didn't expect that the position of the national teacher was so respected." But the national teacher never looked at her, just sat in his own position and did not say a word. Some toasts, he just slightly nodded, raised his hand, a symbolic toast. Yen Mo Li Mao Guang glanced at him, suddenly got up, and said with a smile, "Grandmother Huang, the national teacher prepared such a big gift, but it's not easy to take out the gift of his grandson." Seeing this, the Empress Dowager just smiles lovingly. "Everything you send is your heart. Naturally, you like everything when you mourn your family." The grandson gave a gift to the emperor's grandmother. Yen Mo Li turned his head to the attendant behind him, and immediately someone rolled up a picture. The picture scroll does not need to be opened in front of the public. It was originally a picture of Bodhisattva's salvation. In the picture, Bodhisattva's eyes are kind and benevolent, and his face shows compassion. The picture scroll is slightly yellow, which is unusual. This painting was originally made by Master Huiji of Anshan Temple before his death. He has been hanging in the temple for so many years and has been burned with incense. His grandson specially asked for it to bless his grandmother and extend her life. As usual, the Empress Dowager laughed, praised her with a happy face, and sent someone to accept it. I thought that Yen Emoli had paid enough attention to this ceremony, but I didn't think that after he finished, he didn't sit down, but looked at Baorong Emperor again. "Father." With a smile, he said, "Now, on the birthday of the emperor's grandmother, one of the children's ministers wants to introduce him to the emperor." Baorong Emperor slightly pick eyebrows, slightly interested. "Who want to pick at this time to introduce?" Yen Mo Li pretended to smile mysteriously and went down to pass on. His style naturally attracted people's curiosity and they all looked forward to it. Under the gaze of the crowd, a boy in white came in slowly. He looked only 17 or 18 years old. He was pretty and handsome. He was dressed in a well-fitted white dress with a layer of ethereal white yarn. The pure white cuffs were embroidered with an ancient totem pattern with gold thread, and his hair was only half covered and half scattered with a wooden hairpin. Behind him, there were also several women with the same clothes, but they were wearing pure white clothes without piping, and the embroidery on the cuff was just the same totem pattern with the same color and white thread, which was not obvious. Not many people knew this totem, but most of them were shocked by their clothes and temperament. The man in white, with a smile on his face, stepped forward, slightly bowed, and his voice was clear. "The son of the Wuxin clan, I'd rather know, I've seen your majesty." The woman behind him also bowed slightly, her legs stretched straight without bending. When people heard the words, their faces were deep, and many people were puzzled. However, Baorong Emperor obviously knew about the Wuxin clan. He was shocked to see that. He almost stood up subconsciously and made a slight gaffe. "The Wuxin clan, the son. Are you the son of the Wuxin clan?" The Wuxian people are very mysterious in the whole continent. It is said that the Wuxian people with immortal skills usually have nothing to do with the outside world. In previous years, they would only send an ordinary disciple to express their congratulations when there was an important gathering of countries. Today, they send so many people, but they even send a saint to come here? How important is this? You know, in the past, the Wuxian family just sent the emperor of the Moon Kingdom to him at random, and he extended his life for 2 years. His ability was more powerful than that of the national master of his kingdom. In the emperor's mind, even if there is a dispute, no matter what they come to, since they come to his kingdom of God, he must find a way to get something. If he can keep even one of them. And the flower on the street, looking at the rather familiar knowledge in the hall, eyebrows secretly wrinkled. The Witch Fairy clan is not completely isolated from the world, but it has never been entangled with any secular people. How can it appear now under the recommendation of Yen Moli? Did Yen Moli win him over? Still have before rather know of intentional contact. Isn't it also to help Yen Moli test? All kinds of questions hover in my heart. But she didn't notice that Yen Beicheng's eyebrows on her side were also wrinkled, and she subconsciously looked at the first national teacher on the opposite side. But I saw that the national master was still as motionless as a mountain, not even raising his eyelids. Yen Mo raised his lips slightly and stepped up to Ning Zongji's side, saying, "This time, the son was born for the sake of stability in the world, but also for the birthday of the emperor's grandmother." When Baorong Emperor heard the words, his face suddenly showed a little dignified. He has heard about the cultivation of the Wuxian people for a long time, and now he has the honor to come to the kingdom of God. I don't know what the sage son has in mind, just say it. "Your Majesty, thank you." Rather no light smile, eyes are enigmatic color. Our elders watch the sky at night and speculate that the world will change greatly if different stars appear and dominate the court. After a pause, he didn't know whether his eyes were intentional or unintentional. He swept over the beautiful cheek of the flower in the street. It's just that the strange star is not one but two. As soon as this remark came out, all the people present frowned, half shocked and half doubted. The same is true of Emperor Baorong. He pondered for a moment, turned his eyes and looked at the motionless national teacher. What do you think of the national teacher? The national teacher raised his eyes slightly. The light of his eyes swept over Ning Kongji's body. There were no waves and waves on his face. He was very calm. It's true. He seemed to have worked it out for a long time, and continued. To be exact, the alien star is just one person. It's no use saying more. Heaven's secrets should not be leaked too much. The witches and fairies must know this. Obviously, the words of the national master were more convincing. The color of doubt on Baorong Emperor's face was reduced and his brows were tightly tightened. How could that be? Ning knows to have never refuted, just a light smile. The Mao light is far-reaching looking at the national teacher. I don't agree. These are two stars. Naturally, others didn't know what he was thinking. They only felt that his words were approved by the national teacher, and the credibility of his words was greatly improved. No one at the scene had any doubts. But on the street flower hears speech, the palms suddenly a tight, in the heart slightly belt nervous meaning. Maybe others don't know where the strange star is, but she knows best. She was originally a ghost from a foreign world, but now she is involved in the center of power of the kingdom of God with Yan Beiqing. Ning knows the strange star in the mouth of the national master. I'm afraid it's not her. What do you want to do? His mind was a little confused. Before he had time to think about it, Qinya didn't know when to bow her head. Princess. Qinya gently pushed the flowers on the street for a while. Seeing her coming back, she said, Miss Liu, the daughter of the Right Prime Minister, invites you to go outside the hall. She says she has something to say to you. The flower eyebrow on the MO is tiny as Siu. This just remembers to still have Lu Qianqian this person. She must have prepared a trap this time to avenge her last hatred. Well, she was just going to take back a small sum of money with her. Come on, let's go and have a look. Mo Shanghua then stood up and walked out. Qinya immediately followed. Aunt Zhang also wanted to go with her, but Qinya was so lazy that she said, Go and talk to the Lord. Aunt Zhang was immediately blocked back, only unwilling to stay. The flowers on the street walk around the banquet. All the way out of Qinghua Hall, Charming Jade leads the way and takes her to a small pavilion not far from Qinghua Hall. Lu Qianqian folded his hands and put them in front of his chest. He said with a smile, My sister is coming. No, now it's time to call Wang Fei. She said, I'm stupid. I always forget my father's words. My sister is Princess Yu now. She has nothing to do with my Liufu. Seeing this, Mo Shanghua immediately laughed and said sarcastically, I don't know, you have nothing to do with me. You are just the daughter of a minister. How can you stand in front of me? Lu Qianqian's face changed a bit, and her eyes were slightly irritated, but she was aggrieved. How can the princess be so aggressive? The flower face on the street shows the color of disgust without concealing. I'm not coming to see your affectation. At that time, after Aunt Zhang told Yan Beiqing, she went out quietly to see what Mo Shanghua had done. She wanted to go to see if Mo Shanghua was going to check the birthday gift she prepared, but she never thought that she had run into such a scene. As a foreign official, Mo Shanghua has a place to recuperate in Qinghua Hall. Mo Shanghua herself is not here, but she left a maid here to take the birthday gift she had prepared in advance and offer it when she formally presents it. But at this time, the woman who was guarding the birthday ceremony didn't know where she was. The room was empty. There was only a box covered with red brocade on a table. Aunt Zhang saw that before she had time to be surprised, she saw a girl dressed as a maid creeping in. She hid behind a curtain. The maid, however, had no idea. She came over with a brocade box and took out the brocade box under the red silk. They changed their positions and left quietly again. Aunt Zhang held her breath. She seemed to understand something in her heart, but she didn't say anything. She came forward and looked at the brocade box under the red silk. She wanted to open it and think about it, but she didn't dare to touch it at last, so she quickly quit. Lu Qianqian didn't seem to understand the words of Mo Shanghua, but he still pretended to be innocent and said, I just want the princess to make amends. She took a picture from the hand of the charmed Jade, full of sincerity. The last thing the princess did is wrong. but also blame I didn't stop my sister. Naturally, it's my responsibility to make amends with you. The Empress Dowager's birthday gift should not be ambiguous. I know that Yujo is desolate, so I can't get a present that will make the Empress Dowager happy. If my sister accepts my Suro double-sided embroidery first, then the princess will only say that she embroidered it herself. When the flowers in the street heard the words, they raised their hands to grasp the scroll and unfolded it. As Lu Qianqian said, the materials are precious, the embroidery is exquisite, and the peacock feather is embroidered together. Sincerity and value are the best. Mo Shanghua stares at the delicate embroidery, and Lu Qianqian's sincere face, and her eyes flash across the dark on. As if she was angry, she threw the embroidery back and said angrily, "Do you really think Yujo is desolate? I have said for a long time that I have no relationship with Liu Fu, and I will never touch anything related to Liu Fu." Having said that, she just walked away, ignoring Lu Qian. Seeing this, Qinya is confused and strange. She turns around quickly to keep up. Waiting for a long way to go, he asked, "Princess, what's the matter with you today?" You know, in the past, but Mount Tai collapsed in front of Mo Shanghua, still standing still. How could Lu Qianqian leave because of a few words of shame? She repeatedly thought about the details, and suddenly a flash of light flashed in her mind. Is it because of her tricks? Are you doing it on purpose? The more Qinya thought about it, the more she felt that it was possible. Suddenly, her mind was full of thoughts. Is it what the national teacher just said? Or something? Now, princess, what should we do now? Mo Shanghua's face had already recovered as usual, but her pace still didn't slow down. She spoke very quickly, "Don't ask anything. Now go to the rest place of the side hall of Qinghua Hall." When Qinya heard the words, she seemed to understand something in her mind. She quickly nodded and wanted to run back with her skirt. Just started the pace, as if to think of something in general. Busy forced himself to calm down, only to speed up the pace and go, "Dare not run." Mo Shanghua had no idea how to see her, but he slowed down and went back to Qinghua Hall as usual. At this time, Ning Zongji seemed to have won the trust of Emperor Barong and was given a seat in the front. The people of the Wuxin clan around him were also arranged seats in turn, and the palace people all admired him respectfully. And Lu Qian's seat is still empty, presumably has not come back. The color of flower eyes on the street is deep, and the corners of lips are light. The birthday of the Empress Dowager is very interesting. As she pondered, she turned her head and took a look at Yan Beiqing. Yan Beiqing was still the same as when she went out. He looked at the people in the hall with a smile. When he saw her coming back, he didn't have much reaction. He just looked up and there was no reaction. At this time in the hall, it was a princess who danced to celebrate the Empress Dowager's birthday. Mo Shanghua has no interest in this, and her eyes turned to Lu Qianqian's position. Their positions were almost opposite, so she could see them clearly. At that time, Lu Qianqian had just returned to his seat. She had a smile on her lips. She looked in a good mood. It's just that something unexpected happened. A woman in the seat next to her suddenly stood up and walked around the seat. I don't know whether she was intentional or unintentional, but stepped on Lu Qianqian's skirt. Today, Lu Qianqian happened to be wearing a goose yellow dress, which was covered with tobacco cage yarn. The tobacco cage yarn was very light and elegant, and it was very easy to tear. However, such a step should be okay. But not only how, but also trampled her dress, leaving a footprints with dust. "Oh dear!" the woman exclaimed and said apologetically, "Your skirt is so complicated. I stepped on it carelessly. I'm really sorry." Lu Qianqian looked down at his skirt, and the smile on his face couldn't hang up immediately. However, she still needs to maintain her image outside, that is, she knows that she is intentional and does not dare to turn her face over. The woman seemed to hold this point, and her eyes showed a little satisfaction. She continued, "Sister Lu used to be the most gentle and amiable in the past. Now how can she not speak for a long time? Is she unwilling to forgive me?" Lu Qianqian reluctantly pulled out a smile. "How can I just haven't reacted." After a pause, The smile on her face became more and more appropriate, and she stood up with a smile. I'm going to the back hall to change my body. I don't mean to resent my sister. My sister just stepped on it. It's just that my skirt material is not very good. What's wrong with the material used by the right Prime Minister to cut clothes? But the woman did not understand, only said with a smile, You know Sister Lu is the most gentle. Stupid. Lu Qianqian scolded secretly. The haze in his eyes dispersed for a few minutes. He nodded slightly as a gift. Charming Jade, please change clothes with me first. Charming Jade should be down, busy to keep up. The woman saw this, just stood up and fell back, deep smile on her face, a good mood. However, the next second she suddenly changed her face. The beautiful cheeks suddenly sank, like a cloud suddenly swept. Mo Xianghua searched in her memory and found that she knew this person. Lin Xiangyin, whose grandfather was a marquis in the east, and whose father was a powerful general in the imperial court, had real power and would inherit the title in the future. If it's just that, she shouldn't have the courage to fight with the daughter of the right Prime Minister. Her most prominent place is that the queen today is her grandfather's daughter and her aunt. Often into the palace, not to mention, is deeply loved by the queen. In the past, the original owner also knew this Lin Xiangyin. She was a little bit coquettish, but she was still a good person. She had a good heart and never got into trouble with her. But in the end, why, she and now Lu Qian evil? How did Lu Qian offend her? The answer soon came out. I saw that Yen Moli, who was originally at the banquet, somehow got up and walked out of the hall, bypassing the row of seats on the street, while Lin Xiangyin's eyes followed all the way. Not only that, her eyes of the original Stuffy also scattered a clean, only a hurried figure, let her eyes shine, eyes full of joy and shyness. The flower on the street instantly understood. An idea gradually broke the ground in her heart. The idea in the heart turned a few Su, Lu Qian and Yen Emoli came back one after another. Lu Qianqian's look has been a lot better, eyes fixed on the flower body, lip angle is not easy to detect, gently raised. Coincidentally, at this moment, all the princesses and princesses have already presented their gifts. Only Yen Beiqing and Mo Xianghua have not yet been presented. Everyone's eyes looked at their table. Yen Emoli also looked to come over. The faint light inside the Mao turns slightly, don't know what is thinking. The two of them rose under the gaze of the crowd. Facing the Empress Dowager, Yen Beiqing said with a smile, The Emperor's grandmother also knows that Yuzhou is poor. It's not easy to find a decent treasure. The princess and I have been searching for it for a long time before we found such a thing that we can barely hold. Mo Xianghua's eyes drooped and said, So, our couple only prepared one, not each other. I hope the Emperor's grandmother will not blame us. Say, then let Qinya go down will be ready birthday present up. If it's not rare, it's just a pair of glass cups from a foreign land. All of them had an expected look. Only Lu Qianqian's face suddenly changed, and his eyes flashed a little unwilling to doubt. It's okay for ordinary people. Maybe all the Xuangue who attended the royal banquet were the Hui and his wife who prepared a gift. They each provided one for themselves. She never thought that the flowers on the street were unprepared. If she didn't prepare, why did she send someone to take the gift and wait in the back hall, or did the cheap maid make a mistake? In the heart, Lu Qian's delicate and soft face was a little flustered, and her hands agitated with uneasiness. Yen Emoli Mao inside also a little bit disappointed. He thought that Yanbei City would come out for this opportunity, but he never thought that it was just an ordinary glass cup. It seems that he still has a high opinion of Yanbei City. Compared with other people, their gift is indeed ordinary, and it can even be called shabby. But the Empress Dowager also flatly did not blame the ceremony, sent someone to accept it, and said with a smile, Your husband and wife's distress is known by the sad family. How can you blame them? I just feel sorry for you in that cold place. After a pause, she continued with a loving face, Come, give the king you and his wife the blue and white glaze just given by the 9th princess and the 12th prince, and they are enjoying 1,000 taels of gold. Even if Yen Beiqing was no longer in favor, he should not be so humble. In this way, he lost the face of the royal family. The Empress Dowager, as a model of the country, should not be too harsh in the face. Seeing this, the Empress, though unwilling, said with magnanimity and gentleness, "These two children have suffered a lot. In this way, our palace will give you some night pearls that the Emperor gave you a few days ago. This year, half of the Suzhou embroidery from Jiangnan will be sent to you. It's like a queen in the world." The Empress Dowager gave so many benefits to Yan Beiqing and his wife all at once, which made all the princesses and princesses blush. What's more, the 9th princess and the 12th prince were extremely unwilling. After all, they had prepared all those things a few months in advance and gave them to Yan Beiqing and his wife, which naturally made them unhappy. But at the thought of their poor life, they were all well balanced. The Empress Dowager will also be very stable, reward Yan Beiqing couple, but also to other humanitarian. The sad family is in a good mood today. Also know your mind, naturally each has a reward. Later the sad family sent their own reward. All the princes and daughters felt aggrieved, so they got up and said, "Thank you, grandmother." Yen Moli, who got up with him, had a smile on his lips, but there was no way to hide the gloom at the bottom of his eyes. He didn't do it because of the reward, but secretly underestimated the flowers on the street of Yenbei City. Such a shabby birthday gift is obviously intentional. On the one hand, it is equivalent to showing weakness to the princes, saying that they are too busy to compete with them. On the other hand, it is to win the Empress Dowager's reward and pity. It's really brilliant. To think of it, it must have something to do with his able princess. Just let them do it this time. After all, they didn't affect their plans. The princes and princesses presented gifts to the Empress Dowager. It should be their turn now. The Prime Minister is the head of all the officials, which naturally starts from Lu Bohan. Lu Bohan had been preparing for a long time, and now he came forward naturally and presented his birthday gift with a smile. After getting the Empress Dowager's favor, he continued, "Although the daughter of Wei Qin is still young, we know that the Empress Dowager's birthday, and specially prepared a birthday gift to celebrate the Empress Dowager's birthday." During the dinner, Lu Chanqian's face suddenly changed, palms slightly chinhon, busy will charm Jade pull to her ear whisper, "You go to the back hall to see my birthday gift, quick, quick." She didn't dare to delay and left in a hurry. Oh! On the other hand, before the Empress Dowager spoke, she was in general interest. Her eyes light in Yenemo Li body lightly turned a circle, said with a smile, "It's a coincidence, I heard that the direct granddaughter of the East Lin Ho also prepared for several months, might as well have a look?" Naturally, the Empress Dowager knew what the relationship between her granddaughter and the queen was, but she didn't say anything. She answered with a smile. At that time, everyone's eyes fell on Lu Chanqian. Mo Shanghua also looked over. The difference is that her eyes are not curious, but quite interesting. In Lu Chanqian's eyes, it was like waiting for a good play to start. In this way, Lu Qian's heart is even more flustered. Palm is a sticky. Chanqian, not yet? Lu Bohan saw that Lu Chanqian did not move for a long time. Instead, he sat here and started to stay. His heart felt that there was no light on his face, and he couldn't help urging him. Lu Chanqian just recovered. He glanced around with Yu Guang and found that everyone's eyes were on him. He became more and more nervous, but he still stood up and saluted. Her voice was soft and gentle, but there was a little tension between her words. "I'll tell the Empress Dowager that the minister's wife has ordered her servant girl to go down and take it. It's going to take a moment. Now, she hopes that she lost her way when she was waiting. It's better that she can't come for a while. It's a pity that Mo Shanghua will not give her this chance." As soon as her voice fell, she came back with a delicate wooden box in her hand. Lu Qian looked slightly changed, but in the eyes of the people, also dare not make any special move, had to let the charm Jade over. When she took the wooden box from her hand, she couldn't help looking up and looking at her. Her eyes were full of anxiety. Seeing this, she shook her head slightly and said, "It's okay." Lu Qian immediately put his heart back to his stomach and began to open the brocade box slowly. His voice was relaxed and clear. but I hope the Empress Dowager will accept it. Such a calm appearance, but caused the Empress Dowager's curiosity, can't help but concentrate on watching. However, I never thought that there was nothing in the wooden box that was slowly opened in full view of the public. People's expressions suddenly became strange, especially the Empress Dowager. The smile on her face had gradually faded. Lu Qianqian is surprised to feel not good, busy turned wooden box to come over, face oneself. How could that be? Lu Qianqian is also full of disbelief. Charming Jade just told her, this wooden box is safe and sound. And the charming Jade who just came in with the wooden box was also shocked, and the blood color on her cheek faded clean. Lu Qianqian didn't care to investigate. She only saw that the Empress Dowager's face was becoming more and more ugly. Her lips were completely flattened and her face was angry. Seeing this, she quickly explained, I think it's been put down, and my daughter is looking for it. With that, she was busy looking up and down in the brocade box. Unexpectedly, she let her find a cold object. She was so happy that she took it out without looking at it. However, the smile on her face has not yet had time to squeeze out. It was transiently turned pale. She was not the only one who was a guest. Everyone who saw the object was shocked and changed greatly. Even Yen Moli, who was not happy or angry, could not help changing his face. What she was holding in her delicate white hands was not a rare treasure, but a cracked white porcelain Buddha statue. Lu Qian completely lung down, completely don't know what to do. Mo Xianghua is appreciating Lu Qianqian's embarrassed expression. She doesn't move at all on her face, but the bottom of her eyes has gradually raised a bit of ridicule. With such ability, he even wants to trap others on such occasions. Besides Lu Qianqian, Lu Bohan is the closest person to the Buddha statue. He has been immersed in the court for many years, and his reaction is naturally the fastest. Too late to be shocked, he quickly raised his hand and pinched Lu Qianqian with the broken Buddha's arm. As soon as Lu Qianqian's painful arm shakes, it seems to wake up the next second. With a scream, he falls the broken Buddha to the ground. The white porcelain statue of the Buddha suddenly cracks into pieces of broken porcelain, scattered on the ground. Seeing this, Lu Bohan quickly pulled Lu Qianqian down on his knees and said in a frightened voice, I lost my hand and knocked over the Buddha statue. I hope your majesty will forgive me. Lu Qianqian buries his head on the ground, and his flustered heart finally gets some relief. He says, my daughter deserves to die. Logically speaking, this is the birthday of the Empress Dowager after all, and Lu Qianqian is the only daughter of Lu Bohan. The Empress Dowager of the Emperor has many reasons to pretend to let Lu Qianqian go, but some people don't like Lu Qianqian. Lin Xiangyin suddenly stood up and said, Empress Dowager, just now everyone has seen it clearly. Lu Qianqian's birthday present is a broken porcelain Buddha statue. She deliberately broke the broken porcelain to hide it. Where this is said, it is quiet all around. The emperor had not opened his mouth, and his face looked uncertain, as if he were thinking carefully. The Empress Dowager was slightly sulky, but did not immediately attack. But the Empress frowned slightly and scolded, Ener, don't talk nonsense. The right Prime Minister is an important minister in the court, the pillar of the country. How can he make such a big mistake openly? Lu Bohan heard the speech, quickly kowtow, Micro-Minister dare not. Lu Qianqian squeezed the palm of his hand, calmed down a little, and said, Today, the candle in the hall is very bright, and the Buddha statue is only the size of a palm. I think Sister Lin is wrong. With this sentence, she regained her voice and looked at Lin Xiangyin with tears in her eyes. Sister Lin, if you are not satisfied with me, you should be depressed if you just stepped on my dress. Why do you want to be so aggressive? Before Lin Xiangyin could react, she had been put together by Lu Qianqian, and her face changed greatly. A woman dressed as an expensive woman beside her quickly grabbed her and knelt down. My daughter is still young and has no scruples in her words and deeds. I just thought that I was wrong for a moment. I hope your majesty will forgive me. This person is Lin Xiangyin's mother, the daughter-in-law of the Marquis in the East. Baorong Emperor will never give up face, no harm. The lady just thanks. She quickly pulls Lin Xiangyin back to the table, and then gives her a warning look. Lin Xiangyin knew that she was wrong, so she shut her mouth and did not dare to say more. On the other hand, Baorong Emperor was just trying to muddle through, so as not to make more trouble and ruin the Empress Dowager's birthday, but he didn't think that it would be another change. Mo Shanghua was sitting in her own place, and suddenly said in a loud voice, "Does the Prime Minister think that everyone is wrong? Unfortunately, my position is closer and I can see it more clearly. It's really a cracked Buddha statue. First it's disrespectful, then it's deceiving. Tut." She didn't go on with the following words and lengthened her voice. Baorong Emperor choked on all his words, and his face sank a little when he thought about it. Until now, Lu Qianqian naturally dare not deny it, but also dare not admit it. After all, Lu Bohan has just argued that it was someone else's mistake. If not, it would be a real crime of bullying the king. The crime of deceiving the king should be punished. "Your Majesty, this matter it's about that my father was blocked by me and didn't see clearly. I just thought there was no problem with the Buddha statue." Lu Qian clenched her teeth and said, "This Buddha it's broken. Oh, the ending of the flower on the street is longer. On the birthday of the Empress Dowager, she deliberately sent a damaged Buddha statue, which is disrespectful." Smell speech, Yen North City Mao Guang can't help but sweep in her Ingbai cheek, and then sweep to the National Division face. Instead of looking at them, the National Master lowered his eyebrows and eyes, twirled a white jade teacup in his hand, with no expression on his face. It seemed that any dispute in the hall did not enter his eyes. Mo Shanghua feels Yen Beiqing's sight. Her eyes are tiny and indisputable. She doesn't make a sound. She stares at Lu Qianqian and Lu Bohan's father and daughter in the hall. Lu Qianqian seems to have been forced to a dead end by the stranger, a pair of beautiful eyes full of tears. After a long time, she was cruel and said, "Your Majesty, this is not my birthday present. Someone must have deliberately changed my birthday present and deliberately murdered me." Seeing this, Lu Bohan quickly took her words, "Your Majesty, I have been in the court for more than 10 years, and I have devoted myself to the kingdom of God. Although I have just recovered my daughter, she is also knowledgeable, reasonable, and gentle. How can I deliberately send such a bad thing on the birthday of the Empress Dowager? Someone must have deliberately framed it." Lu Qianqian seems to have been convinced by his own statement, and his face is full of tears. "Princess Yu, Qianqian has always respected you as her sister and respected you very much. Why do you have to force each other today? In this case, it is obvious that people are deliberately suspicious." The flowers on the street and the surface are just like the pool at the bottom of the well. "That's funny, Miss Lu." The corners of her lips made no secret of her mockery. "What's the relationship between you and me? Is it that you are pretending to be deaf and dumb and do not know what you are doing, and that the people who are doing it are all idiots? Don't you be afraid if I really treat you and your own sisters and want to please them with my heart and liver?" Lu Qianqian's face is slightly white. How also can't imagine, Mo Shanghua will say so clearly, "Don't know how to deal with." But the flower on the street seems to have opened a box of words and said, "Besides, Lu Xiang also regards me as an enemy, and our two families have already broken off their relationship. My words are indeed selfish, but they are true. Don't bet and swear. Do you dare?" Lu Bohan's blue veins on his forehead jumped fiercely and patiently said, "Don't deceive people too much." The flower on the street, on the contrary, began to laugh, and a cool cheek suddenly appeared like a warm wind. "It's strange that Lu Xiang said that. When did I cheat? Are you afraid to just talk and not swear?" With that, she stood up, pointed to the sky with her hand, and made an oath, "I swear here. What I have just said is true. If there is any violation, it will make me blind. There will be no turning back." Lu Bohan's anger suddenly surged up, and his face was dark. In his heart, he simply kowtowed to the emperor, "Your Majesty! The minister and the minister's daughter are sincere. How dare they do such a big disrespectful thing? I hope your majesty will make a careful investigation and return the innocence of the minister and the minister's daughter. Lu Qianqian's eyes were full of water, just like the reservoir which had opened the gate. His face was full of tears. Your majesty, please be aware of the injustice. It's a good birthday. How can it be like this? Baorong Emperor was noisy headache, can't help but angry, deep voice scolded. The Empress Dowager's face was not much better. She stood up directly, picked up her own limelight and left. Seeing this, the Empress quickly came forward to stop her. When Xing tried to save the situation, "Mother, you are tired. My son will help you to have a rest for a while. The foreign envoy has prepared something new. When you are well rested, my son will accompany you to have a look." The Empress Dowager didn't answer, but she didn't brush away the hand that the queen helped her, and she calmed down. Seeing this, Yen Mo quickly came forward and advised, "Father, according to my son's ministers, Miss Lu is a wise man. She definitely won't present this thing on purpose. I think it's because the servant girl at the bottom has bad hands and feet. She accidentally fell a few times, cheated others and didn't dare to tell them. Today is the birthday of the emperor's grandmother, so it's not appropriate to punish her more. I'd like to invite my father and the emperor to judge her. This kind of thing is not suitable to start." What Yen Moli said is exactly what Emperor Baorong thought in his heart, and it is the most effective way to turn big things into small things. If not, isn't it to make the stranger see the joke? Lu Bohan had been with the emperor for several years, and even his temperament had been put back in his stomach. He did not forget to look around and give Lu Qianqian a reassuring look. Sure enough, the next second Baorong Emperor nodded his head and said, "I think it's just Miss Lu's unintentional failure. I won't care any more. You all get up." "I thank your majesty, long live your majesty, long live your majesty." The two women saluted at the same time. The emperor waved his hand, indicating that the banquet would continue. The father and daughter were seated, and there was another school of singing and dancing. Is Mo Shanghua not a stupid person? Seeing this, he will know that the emperor has no intention to investigate. Naturally, it is not good to continue to press questions. Otherwise, he will embarrass the emperor in public and displease the Empress Dowager. She is very clear about her current status, and must not offend the emperor and the Empress Dowager at the same time, otherwise, her situation will be tens of times more comfortable in the difficult. There are the most observant people see this, busy toward Lu Bohan flattering smile. And Lu Qianqian, a little relaxed in the heart, then feel behind has been full of sweat, now is a cool. She did not want to continue to eat, so she got up with the help of charming Jade and was ready to go back to the house first. Lin Xiangyin, who was sitting next to her, could not help but sneer and sneer. Miss Lu is really weak. Is that not good? Don't be guilty. Lu Qianqian's slightly tired cheek barely pulled out a smile. Qingzhiziqing, how Sister Lin thinks, it's all your business, I just have a clear conscience. Having said that, the slender hands she put on her arm could not help tightening slightly, and her long sharp nails were all embedded in the tender flesh between her arms. As usual, she was just patient, but at the moment when she thought of what would happen when she went back to her house, she was afraid and trembled uncontrollably. Lu Qianqian felt her tremble, Mao Guang worried to see to come over, charming Jade, but was frightened? The strength in hand also increases with this sentence. Originally, Lin Xiangyin was still a little strange. Now she was not curious. She turned her head and snorted disdainfully. But over there, the charm Jade is busy to bite lips, tears eyes hazy of shake head, force oneself to calm down. Seeing this, Lu Qian's eyes were more gloomy and worried. Let's go back quickly. I'll ask the doctor to have a good look for you after we get back to the house. The master and the servant walked out. The flower on the street looks at the back of two people, the eye light again on Lin Xiangyin body kun a circle, the face is more and more thoughtful. The Empress Dowager's birthday, which had been prepared for a long time by the nobility of the Kingdom of God and the envoys of various countries, soon came to an end, and Mo Shanghua and Yan Beiqing also made their way back to the palace. However, Yan Beiqing did not ride in the same carriage with her. Mo Xianghua didn't want to spend much energy on this matter, so he took a carriage and went back to the house first. The carriage was rickety. She was tired and fell on the carriage and closed her eyes. Seeing this, Qinya came to help her press her temple carefully. "Princess, it's really dangerous today. If you hadn't suddenly alerted me and let me take the opportunity to exchange things back, we would not be as lucky as the right Prime Minister's father and daughter." Qinya was busy massaging the flowers and exhaled a deep breath. The flowers on the street pick eyebrows slightly and asked deliberately, "How do you know Baorong Emperor won't let us go? How stupid is a slave?" Qinya immediately widened her eyes and retorted, "You are not welcome by the people in the imperial city. Although you did not dare to look at the beauty of heaven, you also noticed that when the Empress Dowager granted the reward, your Majesty did not open your mouth and made it clear that you did not want to give the reward. If it happened to you and the right Prime Minister's father and daughter's embellishment, your Majesty would punish you severely and even refuse to explain." Mo Xianghua can't help laughing when she listens to her analysis and sighs. "Xiao Qinya is more and more promising now, even this layer can be seen through. Maidservant is not as good as the princess said." Qinya doesn't smile, but shakes her head. "Although I follow your orders today, I secretly follow her. Before she opens it, I call a maid in waiting to urge her. She sees that her appearance is okay. I can't think of a perfect solution by myself." The princess knows that the maid was almost doubted when she gave orders to the little maid of honor. She was so nervous that she could hardly speak quickly. "It's a shame for you, and she didn't do everything well enough." She sighed again, "Although my brother looks simple and honest on weekdays, his work is the most appropriate. If only she were here." The flower knows that Qinya is missing Qin Lin. After all, she is a close relative. It's hard to miss her after she's been apart for such a long time. Mo Xianghua comforted Qinya by holding her hand in the palm of her hand and pulling out a smile from her red lips. "Qin Lin is only training in the army, but also far away from the imperial city. This land of right and wrong is much happier than you and me." Qinya finally had some comfort in her heart, and then she nodded slightly. The maid knows that the princess is good for her brother, but she hates that she is not as capable as her brother. Seeing this, Mo Xianghua can't help flicking her smooth forehead. "You little girl, you are used to talking nonsense. Your brother is a man. Although men and women should be equal, women are naturally weak. This can't be changed. How can you blame you?" Qinya nodded thoughtfully, but later she was surprised that it was wrong. She couldn't help looking up. Are men and women equal? Mo Xianghua feels that she has said something wrong. She turns her eyes to avoid Qinya's confused eyes. Just at this time, the carriage has arrived. She just digs away from the topic. "Here, let's go back to have a good rest. You didn't eat at the banquet. I'll tell the small kitchen to prepare some for you." The words behind successfully let Qinya forget the words of Mo Xianghua just now, and immediately followed Yiliuyin to get out of the carriage and help Mo Xianghua. When they go back to the mansion, they make a trick to prepare a table of food. After spending all the people in the house, they let Qinya sit down and have a good time. Then they quietly go to Yan Beiqing's residence. Yan Beiqing left behind her to return to her mansion. "It's time to come back now." Sure enough, she had just entered when she heard the sound of footsteps outside the door and the voice of the attendant. Mo Xianghua came in quietly without any communication. When Yan Beiqing came into the house, he was surprised to see Mo Xianghua in it, and his eyes flashed quickly. "Why is the princess here?" He pondered for a moment, as if he had thought it over in his heart before he said. Mo Xianghua calmly sat at the table, his head was not raised, and he was very sure. "You are not Yan Beiqing, what about others?" Yan Bei City was even more surprised. How did the princess know? But Mo Xianghua didn't plan to explain, just said, "Is Yan Beiqing asking you to do this? Isn't he afraid of being seen to be flawed? Yan Moli has been suspicious of them for a long time. I'm afraid that he is ready to catch their mistakes. But he dares to steal the dragon and turn the phoenix under Yan Moli's eyelids. Isn't he afraid to be detected by Yan Moli?" He is busy supporting new people recently. How can he have the heart to observe Wang? While thinking about it, the real Yan Beiqing suddenly appeared. He didn't see him. He heard his voice first. When Mo Shanghua turned to look at it, he just leaned out of the window. Mo Shanghua's attention was focused on his black clothes. And the Yanbei city, in the house, immediately bowed to salute, Lord. Yan Beiqing waved his hand, turned in from the window, raised his hand and patted the dust that did not exist on his hands, grinned at the flowers on the street. The princess has noticed so soon, it must be a warm love for the king. The feeling of being familiar surged into my heart, and I felt that I was certain. Because there were others in the house, I ignored them and said, "Since you are here, who are the people in the house?" Yan Beiqing's soared eyebrows gently raised, eyes toward Yan Beiqing, body swept. He instantly understood the meaning, raised his hand to take off the human skin mask, revealing his true colors. Maureen. Mo Shanghua recognized it as Mo Ling, who had not seen it for some time. She is also now to see, Mo Ling's body shape and Yan Beiqing is very similar, height is only a very small gap. In addition, Maureen is his personal secret guard. He will never show his face in front of outsiders. Therefore, it's not nonsense to do so. In fact, if it wasn't for Yan Beiqing's usual close relationship with him, other people who are not familiar with Yan Beiqing would not have recognized him. Yan Beiqing seemed to see what he thought in his heart and sent Mo Ling down with a smile, while he came up to Mo Shanghua. "If you really love me and miss me day and night, you will recognize me early." Mo Shanghua didn't resist his approach, but his mouth was still hard. "Who loves you and misses you day and night? It's your disguise that's too bad." After a pause, the light of her eyes swept over Yan Beiqing's black robe. Suspicions began to appear in her eyes. "What's your material?" Yan Beiqing saw that she was full of doubts and did not evade. He answered calmly, "You guess. If you can guess, I will not hide it." Originally, he did not deliberately hide the meaning. "That national teacher, is it your other identity?" The flower on the street looks like this, ponders for a long time, only then takes a few-minute uncertain opening. After all, the appearance and figure of the national master are very different from Yan Beiqing. How can two people who are so different be the same? When Yan Beiqing saw this, he could not help but smile. The princess is the most intelligent. The flowers on the street are full of surprise. After a long time, they can't help but say the question in their heart. Appearance can be explained by the technique of changing appearance. Temperament can also be disguised, but this figure. Body shape can also be fake. There was no smile on Yan Beiqing's face, and he spoke calmly. The flower on the street frowned at him and said to himself, "The figure can really make a fake, but as far as I know, it can be half hidden, no. Seeing the flowers on the street, Yan Beiqing couldn't help laughing. He took out a porcelain vase from his sleeve and said, "It's called Huak Xingxin. If you eat it, your body will change a little." "How do you look?" Mo Shanghua is a doctor, and he is very interested in this kind of things. The smile on Yan Beiqing's face is still there, but it doesn't reach his eyes. Seeing this, he took the porcelain vase in his hand, poured out a pill and put it on his nose. But for a moment she frowned. "This is not a good product. Tell me quickly, what are the side effects of taking this?" Yan Beiqing was still smiling, but the radiance of his lips was much smaller, and his eyes flashed slightly. "If you want to get something, you have to pay a certain price. I can afford it. Just relax." Mo Shanghua still can't be relieved, can't help pinching the medicine in his hand. "How long have you taken this medicine?" Although she didn't know what the specific side effects of this medicine were, she could still see that some of the drugs in this pill were poisons or extremely strong drugs. How could they not damage people's body? Yan Beiqing refused to say any more, but said with a smile, "Now you know why my king would put up with you many times when I was in Yuzhou?" "Naturally I know." Mo Shanghua slightly lowered her eyes, pursed her lips and thought for a moment, then said, "But I don't understand why you wanted to save me in the first place." Yen Beiqing completely smoothed the smile on his lips and looked at her seriously. At first, he thought you were different. Later, he was attracted by your martial arts and temperament. Later, the corner of his lips suddenly stirred up a smile. Later, naturally, I was attracted by your beauty, and it was hard to love you. Emo Shanghua didn't joke with him as usual. She pinched the porcelain bottle tightly. I know your mind. Yen Beiqing, can you tell me how long have you been taking this medicine? Her cold and plain voice has been irrepressibly stained with a little more worry. Yen Beiqing did not answer, but continued to open the topic with a smile. You know, when I first saw you, you looked like a wounded animal. I thought at that time, if I could keep you by my side, life would not be so boring. I can't imagine that God has really tied you and me together. Emo Shanghua couldn't smile. She raised her hand and took the initiative to hold Yen Beiqing's hand, full of anxiety. Yen Beiqing, I don't care if you want to tell me, but I must know that if you don't, I will take this medicine with you. Her black and white eyes were full of firmness, just like Yen Beiqing's stubborn appearance. Yen Beiqing naturally knew her temperament. How could she be willing to let her be like herself? Knowing that he couldn't hide it or even cheat it, Yen Beiqing had no choice but to tell the truth. This medicine is toxic. When you take it, your whole body will be as painful as a broken bone. But the effect can only last for 3 days, so you have to take it often. It's been 5 years since I prepared these plans. What else? Emo Shanghua can't help pinching his hand and lifting his heart. Yen Beiqing pulled his lips, full of fearlessness. My body is not better than ordinary people now, but it's just strong outside and strong in the middle. I may live a few years less than ordinary people. Emo Shanghua took his hand and tightened it all at once. His face changed many times. His emotions were complex, painful and worried. Yenbei City fixed looking at the flowers, deep eyes gradually cage a layer of pity, speechless embrace her into the arms. But the flowers on the street pushed him away, and his eyes were full of water. How can you hide such a big thing from me all the time? Yen North City Maoguang Shan Shan, some guilty don't open an eye to go, don't have to open a mouth for a long time. Although Emo Shanghua didn't hear Yen Beiqing say something about him, he also knew the pain in his heart, so he didn't ask him. He looked at him calmly. I will cure you, and I will help you develop a new one. Yen Beiqing, you have already confirmed that Emo Shanghua is your wife in this life, so you don't want to go ahead of me in this life. I will stay with you forever. Yen Beiqing was so moved that he could not help holding her in his arms again and burying her head in her neck. Her nose was full of the fragrance of her own body. He was reassured. For a long time, he will be full of nostalgia with the flowers separated. Deep dark eyes gradually become more and more calm, but also gradually full of pain. It is hidden in the depths of his memory, never want to touch the pain. After struggling for a long time, he was finally willing to uncover the scar in front of the flower. Under the gaze of Emo Shanghua, he slowly raised his hand and gently stroked the shocking birthmark on his face. Then he took out a porcelain vase from his sleeve, poured out some powder from it and gently daubed it on the dazzling scarlet on his face. The scarlet birthmark on his face, which almost covered half of his face, faded slowly with the speed visible to the naked eye. Then he poured the water from the teacup on a silk handkerchief, soaked it, and wiped off the powder with the wet silk handkerchief. Without the influence of the birthmark, his appearance in an instant shine, is in a group of princes, is absolutely the most eye-catching existence. Her skin is white and clear, delicate to half flawless. Her facial features are like exquisite sculptures. Her eyes are slightly long and her beauty is peerless. Against the backdrop of a black suit, her skin is white as snow, but she is not half feminine. On the contrary, she looks more handsome and heroic. Looking at it carefully, it is quite different from his appearance when he was dressed as a national teacher. The only thing in common is that pair of gorgeous phoenix eyes. The flower on the street was stupefied for a moment, and then surged into his eyes, which was more confused. Isn't it true that the birthmark on the face of Yen Beiqing, the king of Yu, was brought when he was born? That's why it disgusted Baorong Emperor and was regarded as an ominous thing by the national master at that time. Then he sealed a remote place and sent his mother and son to the remote Yuzhou? But now, why is the birthmark on Yan Beiqing's face so simple that it can fade away? You're surprised too. Yan Beiqing was not surprised by the expression of Emo Shanghua, and his lips began to laugh at himself, because this birthmark should not have been born on my face. His eyes gradually far-reaching, as if back to more than 10 years ago, he was just born that night, and as if he had witnessed the scene at that time. My mother once told me that before I was born, my mother used to be the emperor's favorite. Her mother family was also very powerful in the court, and even today's empress did not dare to confront her. After her mother was pregnant, she was even more favored, and all the concubines were jealous. Others say that if it goes on like this, the emperor will abolish the queen sooner or later, help his mother and imperial concubine, and set me as the reserve. His tone was very calm, but his eyes were full of sad irony. Not long ago, when my mother gave birth to me, an empress at the empress's command bribed the midwife and maids who served me. When I was just born, she poisoned me with insidious drugs, which made me give birth to this kind of poison-like birthmark. But my emperor and father didn't even let the imperial doctor know about it. He treated me as an ominous thing that would endanger his country. In addition to the national teacher's provocation, my mother and concubine were also rejected by him and wanted to kill me for a time. However, the hypocritical Baorong emperor just thought so in his heart, but he still cheated Yan Beiqing's biological mother. Not long after that, he finally got everything ready and uprooted Yan Beiqing's mother's family. He wanted to kill Yan Beiqing's mother and son, who gave birth to an ominous object. The queen also fanned the flames. At that time, Yan Beiqing was dying because of poisoning and time was running out. His biological mother almost cried blind and was desperate. She pleaded with Baorong Emperor. She told him that their son had been framed. He was dying, but Baorong Emperor didn't believe a word and left her in the cold palace to die. The only empress who knew the truth was quickly killed by the queen later. The empress even had time to tell the empress what poison she had done to Yanbei city and how she had done this series of things. Therefore, even the queen did not know that the birthmark on his face was caused by poisoning. The Empress Dowager was afraid that the emperor would destroy Baorong's reputation and the Qing dynasty's reputation, so she begged for love. Yan Beiqing's mother and son were sent to Yuzhou. On the way to Yuzhou, Lu Zheng's father pretended to be a fugitive from famine and was rescued by Yan Beiqing's mother. Then he joined the team and cured Yan Beiqing quietly. More than that, he used poison to help them solve the problem of those who wanted to kill them. Since then, Yan Beiqing has been in his mother and Lu Zheng's plan for him to continue to develop a false birthmark, disguised as a pig to eat a tiger. It didn't last long. Yan Beiqing's biological mother and Lu Zheng's father, Mr. Lu, were finally eradicated one after another and died unexpectedly. From then on, Yan Beiqing was forced to disguise and become powerful in such an environment. Once upon a time, Emo Shanghua only knew that Yan Beiqing had many faces, but he never thought deeply about his past. Now he just knows how much despair a person like him has experienced in order to make himself strong to the present. I don't want to experience such a miserable life for anyone. Now he has to bear so much pain for revenge. He has to hide his true temperament and wear a mask to live in the pain of remolding after eating the broken bones. He can't even shout. He lives in all kinds of intrigues and battles of life and death every day. Emo Shanghua only feels heartache for Yan Beiqing. She can do nothing but hold Yan Beiqing silently. Yan Beiqing let Emo Shanghua embrace himself. How cannot hide the deep pain in his eyes? For a long time, he just closed his eyes in pain, raised his hand and hugged her tightly. Emo Shanghua feels that he is almost breathless by Yan Beiqing, but he still refuses to let go of him and warms the unfortunate child wantonly with his body. Yes, in her mind, Yan Beiqing at this time is just like an injured child and needs her. Emoer. Yan Beiqing's eyes were still closed, but his words were very sentimental. You are the only one who treats me sincerely except my mother and concubine. I won't allow you to leave, never. Between the words, there was a bit of fear and humble. There is nothing like this for a child eager for sunshine. Mo Shanghua nodded his head and passed his warmth to him. Shi and Yen Beicheng are really in the same boat. In this way, two people who lack warmth have to warm each other. Cheap maid, it's you and it's bad for me. Do you think you've long hated me and wanted to take revenge? Or, have you already gone to Mo Shanghua and colluded with her, ready to murder me? As soon as Lu Qian entered the house, he sent out all the maidservants and ordered them to guard far away, leaving only Ruyu alone. Then, she pulled out the gold hairpin directly from her temples and thrust it heavily into her shoulder. Charming Jade Pain almost scream out a voice, quickly bite out of the lips are biting Qin blood, also dare not make a sound. I dare not. I really don't know what's going on. Please forgive me. I know I'm wrong. Charming Jade Pain complexion pale, but still quickly kneel good body, keep toward Lu Qianqian button. Lu Qianqian's face was so vicious that he pulled out a hairpin. He held 2 hairpins in one hand and stabbed them down on the arm of the jade. You mean to harm me, cheap maid? If it had not been for your use, I would have killed you at this moment. She couldn't bear the pain. She fell to the ground and kept crying for mercy. However, Lu Qianqian was like a masked Shura. She didn't get any oil and salt. She almost fainted from the pain. The clothes on her shoulders were bleeding, like plum blossom blossoming on the light-colored dress. Lu Qianqian again and again in the heart of the flower face into the charming jade face, mouth crazy side scold side stab. Dash, but I didn't want to. At this time, I suddenly thought of 3 cuckoo calls outside the window. This sound was like an important command, which made Lu Qianqian stop. Lu Qianqian's reason was pulled back. He looked up out of the window, then threw 2 bloody hairpins in his hands, raised his hand and straightened his slightly messy temples. He said in a cold voice, "Go to the ear room and change your clothes, and then go out. If others see me, I will kill you immediately." Charming Jade trembles to get up from the ground, head a pale face like paper heavily kowtow, stagger to get up. "Clear this place before you go." Lu Qianqian glanced at the bloodstain on the ground and said, Charm Jade subconsciously trembled, and then submissive should also don't care to find other things, squat down with the sleeve on the body will be a little bit of blood on the ground wipe clean, and put 2 dyed blood hairpin up, way, hairpin, made back to the room quietly clean, never let others see. Clearly this is an important evidence of their abuse, but even the heart of resistance Charm Jade are not born, softly said a word, then kowtow down. Lu Qianqian saw her go down, this just put that pair of high face away, full of panic went to the window to look. After thinking for a moment, she went to the middle of the closet, turned out a suit of black clothes, quickly put them on, and then flew out of the attic window. She carefully avoided the guard of the Prime Minister's house and went out of the house. She stopped in a secluded house in the city. After the investigation of several people in black, she was able to enter the house. Waiting for her, it is the one who makes her think day and night, and also makes her fear at the moment. At that time, Lu Bohan went back to his house to drink tea alone, and then he thought of Lu Qianqian. After thinking about it, he stewed Shuiyin and prepared to go to comfort his daughter. In his eyes, Lu Qianqian is the most tender and considerate. She must be scared after such a thing today, but she is so sensible that she must be embarrassed to disturb his father. She must be crying in the room now. Who knows, he just arrived in front of Lu Qian's room, he was stopped by a maid. Report back to the master. The young lady was frightened, said to himself quiet, Charming Jade is inside with, no one is allowed to go in. I knew that she had been frightened before she came. You can't even stop me? Lu Bohan's heart is understanding, only when Lu Qianqian considerate, do not want him to do the father's worry. The maidservant's face was in a dilemma. Master, although the young lady has a soft temper, the maidservants dare not refute her life. Lu Bohan usually thinks that he is the most gentle, so he has a good temper and says, then you enter the communication, Qianqian will let me in. The maidservant was relieved and quickly entered to report back. After a while, she came out pale again. Knelt down. Master, little Miss is gone. What? Lu Bohan suddenly changed his face and rushed in. Seeing that there was no one in the bedroom, his face became more and more gloomy and worried. What's the matter? Where's Miss? You don't tell me clearly yet. The servant girl in the room knelt down all of a sudden. They were all shivering and scared, but no one knew. The charming Jade, who has just changed her clothes, comes out of her ear room. She hears Lu Bohan's angry questioning and kneels down with the same pale face. Seeing this, a maid said quickly, "Back to the master, it was the charming Jade who was waiting on him before." In a word, the responsibility will be completely shirked. Lu Bohan's eyes swept over and his face was gloomy. You don't know where the lady has gone? With a pale face, she buried her head deep on the ground. After a long time, she trembled and said, Miss, I don't know. I don't know what happened when the young lady was just here." Lu Bohan, however, refused to believe what she said. He slapped the table next to him heavily and said angrily, "Come on, drag this cheap maid down and beat her until she says it. Other people hurry to find her. If you can't find her in an hour, you won't have to live." All of them were afraid, especially the charming Jade, whose body was completely paralyzed. She really didn't know where Lu Qianqian was. If she played according to Lu Bohan's method, she would not be able to say why she was killed. At this time, Lu Qianqian didn't know that the Prime Minister had disappeared because of her sudden disappearance. She looked at the handsome man in front of her and thought for a moment. Then she whispered, "Your Highness, I don't know what's the matter with you." Yanimo Li Ying's eyes swept over her shy and timid face, but her words were a little chilly. "I want to hear you explain what happened at the banquet today." Lu Qianqian's face was stiff for a few minutes. After a while, he said softly, "It's just like what your Highness saw. It's someone who wants to frame me. It's a stranger." Just as I arrived at the wall of the Prime Minister's residence, I saw that there was a lot of noise inside. All the servant girls in the residence were searching for something in the courtyard with lanterns, and they kept calling for Miss. Lu Qianqian's secret way was bad. He turned over under the wall first, then took off his black coat and cloak, buried it under the soil, and then simply collapsed under the shade of a tree. Sure enough, but in a moment, a servant girl exclaimed in surprise, "I found Mississippi Miss is here." When Lu Qianqian was taken back, he lied to Lu Bohan and passed away. However, she was so tired that she was beaten half dead and fainted. The Prime Minister's office naturally would not leave such a useless person, so he directly threw her to the mass grave to die. Just at this time, it began to rain outside. And Yanimo Li's side, Lu Qianqian after walking inside the house then came a dark way, see him then directly kneel down to reply. "Your Highness, your Majesty has welcomed the son of the Wuxin clan into the palace, leaving only the son in the palace and driving everyone out, which seems to be quite trusting." Yanimo Li seems to have no accident to this matter. The lip cape lightly picks. This temple then knows, the father emperor certainly won't refuse this kind of temptation. Does the father and the emperor ask the son about the fairy art? It's all within your Highness's expectation. Yanimo Li nodded his head slightly, and the eagle's eyes crossed a little bit of the color of potential. A few days ago, Emperor Baorong refused to grant him land and reward. He didn't know where he was offended by Emperor Baorong. He desperately wanted to make some achievements and let Emperor Baorong treat him again. However, he didn't care at all. He was only slightly interested in the whereabouts of the national master. After his return to China, he was rewarded in every way, almost as a god. He thinks about it and thinks about it. Only by finding a way to support a person who is like a national teacher can he get the most favorable help. It seems that he was right. Thinking of this, he could not help but slightly raised his lips. In this way, both Yan Beiqing and other princes will lose the power to fight with him. As we all know, the real identity of the national master is Yan Beiqing, so the national master will always be loyal to him, but it's not in the pool to know. The next day, Emo Shanghua wakes up in Yan Beiqing's arms. Looking at his beautiful and intact side face, he can't help but gently raise his lips and feel a little sweet in his heart. It would be nice to live such a peaceful life with Yan Beiqing. Just thinking about it, Yan Beiqing also woke up, but his mind didn't seem to be fully awake. He opened his hazy sleeping face and gently chiseled a mouthful of pollen on his lips, and then gradually became clear. The flowers on the street were so stunned by his kiss that they began to laugh again. In my impression, Yan Beiqing has never been so relaxed. At this moment he is unprepared, just like an ordinary man. It's really valuable. What are you laughing at? Yan Beiqing seems to have come to his senses. It's strange to see her like this. Nothing. Emo Shanghua pushed away his arms, sat up and cried habitually, Qinya. Yan Beiqing just woke up, but he had the idea of lying in bed. Before he had time to get tired of it for a moment, Emo Shanghua wanted to ask Qinya to come in. How could he follow her?